All right, and welcome to another episode of the Vinny Show. Tonight's guest, Paul Costabile. Am I saying it right,
Hey,
Paul?
you said it right. Grazie, bello. Thank you.
It is a pleasure and an honor, Paul. I am so happy to have you. And I'll tell you what, your background looks a lot better than mine.
Yours looks good, man. All we need to see is you. Don't worry about this. I got more booze in mine. That's all it is.
Uh, Listen, actually I'm in my basement, so the cantina is that way, and I have homemade wine right there, about 10 feet away.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I do my podcast here, and this has become my kind of comfort chair for chatting. Though it does feel like I'm a therapist, but I'm not. I shouldn't be.
I could use it. I could listen after the show. We could talk. All right.
You don't want my advice, bro. Trust me.
So for our viewers, this is going to be a treat. Paul's a great guy. He's not only a podcaster with very, very good show that I'm enjoying very much. Also, he does well. You're also a comedian, right, Paul? So tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, first of all, Vinny, thank you for having me on. I appreciate being here. You know, the internet is a scary place, and I feel like I knew you once I saw you online. So I feel like I appreciate our friendship. You're like an Italian guy that, like, you may be related to me, or you may know. You feel like you know 30 Italian people I know. Like, you're like, oh, Vinny for Billy. Hey, anyway, that's how our people are. So I'm glad to be on here. When you first popped on my radar, I feel like you're just familiar. So appreciate being here. I've been doing hosting and interviewing my whole career, and I talk about it like I'm 80, but I started like over 10 years ago as an interviewer, and I always wanted to have like a late night talk show. That was my dream. And so I kind of got into it in college and was always hosting, but also always trying to be funny and be kind of silly and childlike with my interviews. So I did stand up when I first was in college, quit after one open mic in New York City at the Cellar. I was like, this is the hardest thing ever. Then I went on to do hosting and improv for a very long time and worked as a professional host. I don't know if I should say professional, but worked as a host for many, many years. And I still do, but I've kind of fallen back into stand-up comedy in the last 4 or 5 years from hosting. So I really enjoyed getting back into stand-up because it's almost like I need the therapy on stage. I'm married, I have 2 kids, I have a lot of responsibility. It's like, I always thought maybe I would do stand up when I was younger. And now as a dad and a husband, there's just a wealth of material that I find life more funny performing and trying to make people laugh on top of my hosting work. So yeah, I'm doing comedy in New York and LA, and I'm hopefully going to be touring and going around with somebody soon as well.
That's fantastic. And please make sure you let us know so we can and support you and get the word out. So
thank you, man. I'm dying to come to Philly. I love Philly.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some nice spots here. Definitely it's a great market, especially for your type of comedy. So can't wait. All right. So now, are you based in New York or LA?
It's a hard admission. I was based in New York for a decade, but we moved to LA a couple years ago. So, but the good thing is I kind of do both. My wife's from Philly, so we got all. You sound like all my in-laws, by the way. You don't have the thickest accent, but I definitely hear it in there. If you go, tell me what you're getting at Wawa, I'm going to know exactly where you're from. Actually, wait, let me hear. I wonder if I don't know what town you're from. I wonder if I could hear. I'm not that good with the accent, but
what town in Philly? Like what village in Philly? Or
yeah. Are you from the city? Where are you from exactly?
Well, I was born around the Italian market area, so Tet and Catherine.
Nice. All right.
So yeah, but that was, I think if I know my history right, my parents, came from Italy in '66, so I'm first generation. But I believe what happened was most of the Italians, when they emigrated over to Philadelphia, they settled around that Italian market area, Bella Vista, as it's called now, and they all kind of eventually spread southward. So the different parts of South Philly that are now, deeply entrenched Italian neighborhoods at a time were mostly Irish and German, and it's interesting. The history is really interesting.
It's similar with America in a way. Like New York was the same way. Before Little Italy was Little Italy, it was actually German and Gangs of New York era, and then it became Italian. Mulberry Street and stuff in New York. But my wife's dad is from Calabria, and he went to Philly, so she grew up in Bucks County, but he was in Jenkintown, a bunch of like Italian Philly adjacent areas that I know from my marriage now in my head. But I love Philly. But wait, I didn't answer your question, I don't think. I just started talking about Philly. You had a question, I think. Did you? I don't know.
I don't remember.
I'm so used to being a questioner. I want to be a good guest because I always ask questions. That's my job usually.
You're already a great guest. Let me tell you, Paul. So, no, well, I tell you about. I had asked you where you're based out of. You said L.A.
Yeah.
And now I love, and it's been a while. I think I mentioned this to you before we started the interview. I haven't been there since 2008. Before I was married. I'm similar like you. I have 3 kids instead of 2.
Nice.
Thus, I'm losing the rest of my hair. But it's I give you a lot of credit because it's not easy to do what you're doing with the family, and and especially as an Italian man, it's tough. I'm sure you're the kind of guy that does a lot around the house, and you're a family guy, I'm sure.
You know what? That's what we want to promote. We got to get the message back to my wife that I'm publicly the best husband and father. I want a trophy. I want awards. I won't get them for my wife, so I better try here. Yeah, man, it is tough. I have 2 girls. I'm outnumbered by women. I love having girls, and they're in the age now where they can get me. Even today, like I was late to work. My daughter was being so cute. I'm like, of course, I'm already a pushover to them. So like, yes, it is a balance. The fun thing about comedy is like, I get to do it. Like I put them to bed and I go to clubs, and it's like, it's not the healthiest, maybe sleep wise, but I'm in this sort of like development period where I feel like I'm in training with stand up, even though I've been doing it a few years. So I kind of like this time. I'm present for the kids. I get to work during the day a little bit, but then like I get to go make people laugh at night, and that's how the business is. So yeah, it's definitely a juggle though. Luckily, my wife's in show business, so like she sort of gets it when half the time, like, oh, okay. She doesn't think my jokes are as funny anymore. That's because I've been with her long enough to not do material on her anymore.
Well, I kind of I definitely feel you when you say that there's a lot more material now, because I'll do like little skits and things. So
Nice.
so I'm involved to an extent in comedy in that sense. But as far as material now, I'll just like torture my wife and like catch her off camera and do like little like 15-second reels. So
Nice. Yeah, man. Look, life should be playful. I mean, that's always been my motto. And I think when you do comedy, you kind of look at it that way when you're writing and you're going on stage. But even with social media, like I love people rail against social media sometimes, but yeah, we all get to play around, and it can be very positive and make life more fun, especially with kids. And I think all that's great. I love that we can all kind of laugh at stuff and share our comedy with the world. Like everyone can now. It's great.
I don't have to say it's kind of redundant or it's cliche, but it's medicine. Comedy to me is medicine. It's the best thing, man.
Totally. I think that's also why I enjoy doing it now after all I've been through so far in my life. And also all, pandemic, like I kind of like saying I'm a stand-up comedian now. Like I'm so used to wearing the host hat for so long. It's kind of nice to really transition to that title of stand-up because I want to add levity to life for people and myself. And I think that happens when you do it a lot. It is so much fun. And it's the best drug in the world too. I mean, when you're up there having a good time and people are having a good time, and I'm a very positive guy. I'm not like one of the sad clown comedians. So I think it's just kind of sharing that with the world and hoping it connects with people has been a blast so far. Yeah.
And I'm scrolling through and watching a lot of your material. I noticed you like to go to the Comedy Store, which is one of my favorite places.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I love that place. That place is like the Mecca, I feel like, for comedian. It's the Cellar in New York and the Comedy Store in LA. And there's great venues all over the country, but I always said I wanted to perform at the Comedy Store, and moving out here is a goal. And it's funny, I've done different rooms there. I never did the main room. And then this year I just was able to do the main room only once, but still like, it's like a little badge of honor that it's like a stepping stone to just be able to do that room. And that room is wildly famous. The original room there too, but so many comedy careers have started there. There's so many great stories of the building. Before it was the store, it was a restaurant that like Dean Martin and those guys used to go to. And I love that era of entertainment. So like, there's just like some really interesting, history that you feel when you're there, and sharing the same stage that everybody in comedy that does shows at is incredible. I remember the first time I did, it was a couple years ago. I did a room upstairs. I got off stage. I walked downstairs. I was like, wow, what a cool show. I walked downstairs. Sebastian Maniscalco was on stage downstairs. David Spade was walking right by. And it was like, not that anybody cared or thought this but me, but I was like, wow, this is where it happens. This is the place. So I've only done it a handful of times. I'd like to be the guy that like is also in the halls there one day more regularly. But what a dream to just work and work out and try and be funny in the Holy Grail location. There in the Cellar. Have you ever been to the Cellar in New York?
I have not. Unfortunately, I'm not too far from New York, and I don't know why I haven't been there, but that's definitely on the on to-do list. But as far as the Comedy Store, and I mentioned this to you earlier too, when I was out there in 2008, which feels like yesterday, but many years ago, Eleanor Carrigan, another South Philly native, wonderful person, and I am friendly with her brother, Billy the Kid. He we go back a long time, but so Eleanor was so kind enough to bring me into her world, and obviously we all know, people that know, Comedy Store, Eleanor Kerrigan, that's
Sure,
her whole thing. And I remember in those days, I would see Sebastian, believe it or not. I would see Bobby Lee a lot.
Yeah.
Funny stuff. I mean, I couldn't believe I was in there. I thought, but the same thing. It used to be Chiro's, right? Chiro's, it was the restaurant before the Comedy Store. And like some of the comedians would tell me about like stories they've heard of, ghosts and different things. It was crazy stuff, man.
Yeah. It's also just like, it's a really inspiring place as a comedian because it's always packed. People are always there to have a good time. I actually used to go in as a fan before I was doing stand-up. I used to come out here for work like every year or do interviews I was working at iHeartRadio at the time doing interviews, and I'd come out and shoot stuff here. I'd stay across the street from the Comedy Store, and I would just sometimes free nights, I would just go there. Sometimes alone, I just sit there and have a drink and watch comedians. And I remember thinking then, like, I should do this more. And I just never like put my money where my mouth was and never really did it. So it is nice to now like being a working comic. I guess, if I hammer down the internet enough and say I'm a stand-up, I guess now I'm doing enough shows now to be one. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm actually really glad to be working and being able to perform on that same stage. And the fun thing about stand-up is it's all about like what you put in. It's like anything else. So I really feel fortunate to be kind of committing now to this and being able to perform there. It's sick.
Yeah, the beauty of it is you're shaping your, it's your art. So you're shaping everything. It's like an artist with a paintbrush or clay. I mean, you're doing it. You're making something happen out of nothing.
Yeah, I think that's also the scariest, best part of doing comedy that I think I was hiding from for many years. I kind of relied on. I love doing stuff. I love collaborating. Like when the pressure is just on you, I think I was kind of a little. I'm not going to curse, but I would feel like I was just a baby about that for a few years. And now, because when you're up there alone, I'm sure you said you did some mics. If you eat it and you don't do well, I mean, it's a really tough feeling to recover from. But it's kind of satisfying and rewarding to know, like, I've seen every big comic not crush. So it's like that's how you learn to paint. You don't paint a masterpiece right away. It takes development. And I've fallen in love with the game of that more in the past couple of years. Because honestly, if you don't, it's pretty rare that you go up and you start smashing shows and then you immediately tour the world. I think it does take some time. There's a few rare cases, I guess, but I fell in love with that process, which has helped me kind of continue going,
Yeah, I think I've seen an interview where I seen like Joey Diaz say it took him like 20 years, to get his act together.
Yeah. It's like the most inspiring and depressing thing about comedy. It's like, but I also feel like a peer now, even though I'm only a couple years old, where I've worked and done shows with mega stand-ups. And there's some really great peer community aspect to that I just feel like a student. Most of this podcast, I'll have interesting people. I think I have good stories to tell, or sometimes strangers, but I'm like a student of stand-up. So I'll have comedians on and just be like, hey, you did this and you did that. Tell me what it was like. We mentioned Tom Dreesen to open up for Frank Sinatra, like stories from that guy. I just feel grateful that in my orbit now, I can learn from these people. And I think in any craft and any job, you have to remain a student. And I just feel like that's never going to change. I always want to get better at it. Like I wish I was a better joke writer, but I'll get up there and mess with people and feel comfortable. But I wish I could write jokes like that guy. How can I learn to write material? You just like, it's like you sponge it all in,
Well, that's the beauty of it too, because you're absorbing all those different, styles, techniques, and just experiences. And you're able to do something on your own. I mean, and it's a beautiful world. It really is. It's a tough world. I've seen it. I gave every comedian the utmost credit. God bless you all, because I personally, I couldn't do it. It's a lot tougher than most people understand. It's a science. There's a lot involved. Yeah. It's not just getting up on a stage and acting goofy. It's a whole science behind it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has their strengths too. It's like, if you guys are cracking up and having a great time and you think we're just like, you think the comedian is just like, it's effortless for us, we're doing a good job. You know, if you just think, wow, that guy's really funny, and oh, that didn't seem like that wasn't planned. That wasn't this, you know, like a lot of stuff is methodical. I'm less of a planner, and that's my problem. I got to be more methodical with some of my material, but you learn to, you know, trim and write. And I've been, like I said, to be around certain comedians. I did a segment with Jay Leno recently on NBC. I work for NBC, and I got to a shoot early, and no one told me where I was going. And it was his garage, and I had no idea. And I'm 2 hours early, and out walks Jay Leno. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, I think I'm interviewing you in like 2 hours. He's like, come on, give me. So we go in his garage, and we literally talked about stand-up for 2 hours. Like I think he could sell that for thousands of dollars. Like that was like a seminar. So I feel like I'm so grateful to be in orbit with he's like one of the best joke writers ever, honestly, as a stand-up. And I just hearing his method and what you're talking about. Hey, what do you do with this? How do you retain your material? How do you do that? What's the setup like? And the guy's a freaking, you think he's a funny, likable, charming guy. The guy is an absolute freak with his words. Like everything he does, it's like fine-tuned, like, you know, like a perfect machine, which was a really cool, like, experience for me to learn. Yeah.
Well, Leno, I mean, he's reached the pinnacle of you know, where you want to be as a comedian or someone in that field. I mean, I remember being, you know, I don't know, 8 years old, sitting on the couch watching, I don't know how I got away with it, but so watching the Tonight Show with Carson, and then he would have Leno on it. Leno would be his guest, like a recurring guest, or, you know, he would do his shtick, or he would fill in for Carson every once in a while, for Johnny Carson. And like, it's nice to revisit a lot of that stuff. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll watch old things on YouTube with Carson, Don Rickles, all those classic old. I mean, those guys really had it together.
I love watching old Rickles clips on Carson. There, it's like I just was doing it like a week ago. He's so great, the best.
Dangerfield was my favorite, probably.
Yeah, I love Dangerfield too. Yeah,
and I heard he was really cool in person. A lot of people that and the few people that I know that actually were around him told me he was just as crazy off screen as he was on.
Yeah,
it's
the best, man. It really is.
And he launched. I mean, he helped launch a lot of people too. I mean, a lot of great stand-up comedians can attest to maybe getting their break thanks to, you know, to Dangerfield.
Yeah, that's what I'm learning too. Like, you know, LA gets a bad rap with like fake people and flaky people, and it's out here for sure. And I'm very East Coast guy. I lived in New York for 10 years. I'm from Jersey. But I don't know. I see the good out here because of maybe I'm my age and I don't have time for like BS. But I do feel like the comedy community, like you're saying, helping people out. Like I'm meeting comics that have been doing it for decades, that have taught me things, that have put me on shows. Like it does happen in the field, and it's kind of like a refreshing, nice take. Because I think any business, but specifically this one, can really beat you down and make you feel like, you know, you shouldn't be doing it, or nobody cares, whatever it is, or your ego, whatever. The community has been really cool. I got a lot of friends that are helping me, or I'm trying to help them. And I like telling the world that, because it's competitive, obviously, but there's also good people. Like we sometimes only see the one side, you know, it's like everything's negative, but just like Dangerfield was helping people out. I got a couple veteran guys that I'm working with that I have popped on their shows. They'll let me open, let me do this. You know, it's like, it's a dream to be able to just mix around like that and learn.
And that's the thing, not just in comedy or show business, or just in any line of work or industry. I think people need to really start helping each other. There's always this sort of, you know, like either jealousy or competitiveness or whatever. And it's just like, come on, you know, help each other out. I mean, I'm all about, I like to call it big table mentality, where like we all eat, we all help each other. Who cares, you know? But unfortunately, you know, there's character traits. People are born with certain things, and or lack of education, whatever it is. But it's always nice to find somebody who's successful that's willing to help. You can't always find that, but like you mentioned, Jay Leno, it's nice that people actually care enough to want to give back.
Yeah, there's something about my upbringing too, where I just don't ever want to become that. I mean, there's so much more to life than like thinking you're the best and thinking that you're above stuff. Like it's crazy to me how some people operate. I think I got my training in that idea interviewing for so long. I've been able to interview so many people, and I've seen all levels of fame and all levels of egos and all levels of teams of people around the show business. So I've learned a lot about like how I don't want to be, how I would like to operate. And this is just in business. It doesn't even have to be like people see it. It's just like I kind of was raised with you treat the janitor the same way as a CEO. And part of me as a comedian and an interviewer, I really always enjoy reminding people that we're all a lot more alike, and that is one thing I don't like about out here. It's disparity is a little, some people do only care about those things in LA or Hollywood. Oh, that guy's on this show. That guy does. Oh, it's that. How many followers? Like there is like a little bit of that too, but that's kind of everywhere now. I mean, I just don't care about it.
I seen that when I was out there. I mean, it's been like that, I'm sure, for like the last 100 years. But that sort of you're only as good as like what you can do for me.
Yeah, that's a real thing for some people here. But I think I have. Do you curse on the show?
No, but
all right,
I can bleep you.
Oh, I'm pretty much family friendly, but this podcast studio has made me like I should stop saying this, but like I have a good BS meter. I do think, or phony meter that I think as we get older, we kind of get. I think we naturally have it from the East Coast too, especially Philly Italians, New York, New Jersey Italians. Like we're raised kind of being like, all right, yeah, well, you be real. You're not being real right now. I could tell. But I think as you get older and you have your own responsibilities, you almost like don't have time even more. Like I'm not going to go, follow somebody and hope that they could help me or something for some fake reasons. Like if I like you, we could be friends. It doesn't, or you like me. It's not like, what can I get out of this? It's a weird way to have relationships. It's like never fulfilling. I don't think. It's always like, oh, let me get, like you're operating,
Yeah, I think it comes from not to get like psychoanalytical, but I think it comes from lack of self-esteem, lack of confidence. And because if you're not confident, then you tend to be desperate and you want to latch onto something or it's hot or someone that's hot because you really don't have confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
That you can do it.
Yeah.
But as far as what you're saying is the BS meter, I would say that we in this part of the world, New York, New Jersey, Philly, it's like ground zero of BSers. So yes, our meter is well tuned.
Great. It's honestly, nobody realizes it unless you like really leave and live somewhere else. It really is a great quality from how we were raised and where we're from. And I do some sort of prank videos for my job sometimes, like man on the street out here. And just the other day, I really made the wrong guy mad, which I'm a very positive, like not mean-spirited comedian and host. And this guy just wasn't having it. And he let me have it. And I literally was like, where are you from? I'm like, this is refreshing. Like, thank you for yelling at me to my face. Like, not that people don't do it here. They will, especially in traffic. But like, there was something about he definitely was just like telling it like it was in his world for me interrupting him. And I was like, nice. I was like, I needed to hear this in LA. Like, you're not all just like passive, phony, like smile and then curse you out behind the back. You're cursing me to my face. I like this. It feels like home.
That kind of reminds me of a memory I have walking by Cafe Roma in Beverly Hills, and like I'm there, I'm new in LA, and I'm in Beverly Hills, and all this other, you're my eyes are wide open, and I hear a bunch of guys cursing each other out. Like I think they had to be either New York or South Jersey or something. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I feels like I'm home.
Exactly. Yeah, we get that stereotype too, but like we say, I like the truth aspect of it. It's telling people to their face how things are. And that's how comedy is too. Like comedy is the truth. And a lot of times you're messing with the crowd. You say something that everyone's thinking. I mean, that's what's fun about it, and that's also very much how we are from Jersey and Philly, Trust me, I know I've been to Philly's sports games. You guys, especially if I wear a New York hat, you'll say it like it is. Trust me, I might not get home.
They're a little extreme. So now so you do these pop-up interviews. I noticed too. I saw Ernie. You're near Mulberry Street over there.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. Very cool. I was there a few months back, and I got to hang out with him. He gave me a poster. The poster.
Oh, you went in. Oh, wait, you told me this, or did you tell me, or did he tell me?
No, I didn't tell you this. No.
Oh, Ernie's one of my closest. Like he was like my godfather, and because I lived 1 block away for 10 years.
He's a nice guy. Very nice guy.
Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah, he's like what a great story of, Italian immigrant family. He's the oldest Italian American gift shop, like novelty shop in America. It's like over 100 years old, that shop. So he's just like a sweetheart, and he's a musician, and he plays and writes songs, and he used to sing love songs to his wife, and sadly lost his wife to COVID. So I actually have kept up with him and, talked with him about the shop and tried to keep him, just help him out any way I can, because he's just such a sweet guy. And I don't want to see those mom and pop style places go away. And he's been through a lot. As a matter of fact, I will promote it here. We didn't announce it publicly yet, but we're about to. I'm doing a New York City Comedy Fest comedy show. I'd love for you to come. It's November 7th.
Okay.
And I invited Ernie to come up because I wanted to feel kind of familial Italian style. He's going to come do, in the middle, he's going to do a tune, because we have a big band and a crooner, and we have a stand up and like big band kind of Rat Pack style night. Like it's at a separate club, and Ernie's going to come make a cameo at that show. So
I listen, I love it. I'll be there, and we'll put maybe we'll put some information in the description too down below where the guests can find that, and if there's a link or whatever, please, we'll get the word out. I'm
really excited about that. Yeah, it's called Paulie's Dinner. We're making it, pretty Paisan focused. A lot of Italian comedians actually, so it's kind of like an Italian night. It's a mix, but it's very like, Paisans getting together. I think it'll be really fun.
Now, as far as your interviews, your podcast, I noticed now, unless I'm crazy, I seen The Rock on there. That was cool. I'm like, because I didn't really know you, so I'm like, did he Photoshop that? Is that really The Rock?
Everyone thinks. I know. I got to start. I've done this before, and I have to just like post the footage. Like those movie junkets, when you go, you're just sitting opposite, and you have your own cameras. But like I have reached over and been like, we're together, because like people always think it's fake because it's wild when you're with like the most famous people like that. Like he's one of the most famous figures, obviously. But super nice guy. And that's my NBC work as a host and interviewer. I've been fortunate to go to those things, and I'm a bit like, I've done it so much that it's become more natural to me now. In the beginning, I was like, my God, I'm with this celebrity and I'm with this and that. And again, part of my job is always humanizing and making people feel like the same as everybody else. So it's been fun at this season of my career to do those types of things, because they're even more, I don't know, I don't want to say I'm more unprofessional, but since the pandemic, which kind of leveled perspective, they just feel even more fun. Like it's not a job. I get to play around with those people. And yeah, some in the past year have been pretty crazy when you're sitting across from like Julia Roberts, and you're just like, my gosh, I think you were the first person I wanted like to marry. Like, I think you're the most beautiful woman to me from when I was 8, and now you're there. Like, it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And, as far as Julia Roberts, I always wanted to meet her brother for the sole reason of big fan of Pope of Greenwich Village.
Yeah, of course. Classic.
That and Wise Guys. My top movie, I say it all the time. My favorite movie was Wise Guys with Piscopo and Danny DeVito.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I don't think I've seen that since I was younger. I got to rewatch that. I'll rewatch that for you.
You have to. It's got so many little tidbits that you don't even get. Like I watched it when I was little, but you don't understand until like actually you get older. You catch some of it. I got to be friendly with Joe Piscopo. We became friends, man, and
cool.
Every so often I'll text him, and he's doing great. He's got a great radio show in New York, so he's doing well.
Yeah, I know Joe too. I got to work with him at the Columbus Citizens Foundation, the Columbus Day Parade. We did a broadcast together for ABC, and he was he hosted, and I was like in the streets. So we were like, I was tossed back to him from the streets, and then after the show, I got to say hi. He's such a nice guy. We talk, comedy and stuff. It was great. Yeah,
he's an awesome guy. I mean, he's come to Philly pretty often. I mean, This is a while ago, but it's tough. There's always something going on. But he's also a big champion of Italian American rights, and he's always supported Italian American causes. So he's a good dude, really good dude.
He's great. There's a lot of good ones, man. That group I work with for that parade, I've got to meet a bunch of kind of cool Italians across the board. You would actually love that. Well, it's New York, but there's just a good group of Italians doing stuff, and it's always nice.
I think Marie Bartiromo's might be involved with that too.
She did that show. She did that same broadcast, I think, the year before. Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so tell us more about your, your future. What are some of your goals? What are you looking to do in the next year, 5 years, 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, my goals shifted a little bit the past couple of years, I think, to thinking about all this stuff more independently. I've always been fortunate to work for like big brands. I got to work for iHeart, NBC. I did a kids game show for NBC 5 years ago. So it was a network show, one season, but like these are all dream jobs I've been able to do as a host. But as I've gotten older and the way the world is, this is the new goal, is building an audience around my interviews, which I'm loving that we're doing. We're already half a year old. We just started out here, and I've always done independent shows on my own, but I haven't ever stayed consistent. I'm sure you can relate with this. It's like staying consistent is a big part of this game, and you slowly build your people and you get people to listen. So I think getting more people to listen or watch my talk show, because I've always wanted that dream job. It's funny. I wanted it like a late night show. That was my dream. Now in this world, I'm creating the conversations I would have, it's like I always assumed like some executive would be like, you're the next guy. We like you. Like, come on, come do this talk show, and I've just been able to realize over time that I get to create, I can create it, right? I can do all that. And so just growing an audience and like, I'm not trying to be Kanye and like be the best. And I'm the best and everyone needs to love me. And I just want to have my people check out my stuff and laugh along with life with me. And then similarly with the stand-up goal, just kind of go on the road. And I have a family, so like go on the road when I can and grow the stand-up fans as well. Kind of which in this generation, it is podcast. There's a lot of stand-ups doing exactly that. They go on the road, their people buy tickets, their people listen to podcasts. It's a very self-sustaining model if you can grow. I will say I'm like daunted by the newness and like living or dying by like it being so young. Like I'm kind of just like, it's a grind. I'm sure you can tell too, making a new show. And I want to tell other people, like, don't be discouraged by how many people are here or how many people aren't or who you get or who you don't get. Like, I think we really grow as people by just like continuing to be consistent. So my goals, continue to do this show here, continue to meet cool people like you, and then go on the road and make everybody laugh. And eventually I'll probably film like an hour, like a stand-up hour when I feel like I'm ready. I just don't feel like I'm ready, but that is also on the goal sheet too now.
Well, what I'm hearing from you, Paul, is that you're a very measured person, which is good. And you talk about consistency. And you know what? Before I got married, I was inconsistent.
Yeah.
And then getting married, having children brought that out of me. And then I realized, okay, it's not about, there's no shortcuts. I mean, it's cliche,
Right.
but it's about building your life just like a house, one brick at a time, one action, one goal, one task, and incremental growth. If anybody's listening, trust me, and I'm sure Paul would agree. Incremental growth is the path to success.
Yeah.
It's everything's long term.
Yeah, I think we live in a world now where it seems like it isn't. So like I get discouraged if I compare myself to other people doing similar things. I mean, comparison is the thief of joy, right? But like it's easy to feel like that when we see everybody else all day showing us their highlight reel. And it just appears like it always feels like it's overnight. But I know Sly Stallone's story, and these stories of great people who have done cool things that didn't give up on themselves and kept staying consistent with believing in their work and doing it. And I know I had that for myself with all this. So it's like I'm following that and I'm following and kind of trying to remove the results. I mean, don't get me wrong. If every episode has millions of views, that'd be cool. But is that really the only, as a dad, is that really like, am I going to feel any differently? No, I still got to be a good dad. I got to be a good husband. I got to, there's other things that level my perspective on this. I also think I'm in a good position to grow it. Like versus in the past, like you said, like I was inconsistent. I was doing a million things before all this responsibility. And now I feel like, no, I can grow this ship and stay consistent. And I really enjoy that process. I mean, I'm sure too, your show will morph 100 episodes from now. We may have totally different styles of shows. Still, but that's what's fun about this climate now. We really could do it all. And you can make a business out of it. And besides the money part, you can just find your people, I think, which is really cool.
Yeah, there's never been a time like this where you can, I mean, I'm on a cell phone.
Yeah,
Years ago, we would have to use a studio. There would be, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. And
right.
it's just a phone with some bad lighting now.
Look good. Don't worry. It's great. Love it.
But I no, and the independency of being able to do something. I mean, we can get on our phones. There's social media. There's all these different avenues where we can reach people from all over the world. I can't get over it. I really can't. I know it sounds silly, but it's amazing how somebody will pop up on my feed that I haven't seen in 20 years, or like someone across the country from Italy, some cousin somewhere saying hi. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, we got to remember it's good in that sense. It's easy to get. Even me, I feel overwhelmed by it sometimes. I gotta quit my phone more. I think I just gotta put content out and quit. I see so many things in one day. Think about the amount of stuff we see in one day now versus the past. It's so wild. So I consume a lot of stuff maybe I don't need to be bringing in, but yeah, I love reaching people and again, building your own show. I also think like the way, with streaming shows and network TV and cable TV or whatever, it's just not how it once was. Like you really can make a platform for yourself and people can resonate with it, and you don't need anything else. You don't need a big person to say, hey, here's more people. You can make it. So I just had Jamie Kennedy, who's a comedian, an actor, and he's from Upper Darby. And literally we did like, I sent you the clip, I think, but I'm going to post it. We did like Philly accents for a bit on the show. I never heard him do it. So I'm like, I think it's a funny clip. And he sounds like my whole wife's family, like I love it. So very related to you. Another Philly guy.
Well, I have something really personal I want to ask you. You don't have to answer it, but it's very personal. It's very East Coast. What are the price of chicken cutlets in LA?
Ah, I should know off the back right now, but I don't know. And I want to get you a real answer.
Well, when I was there in 2008, I was shocked to know that they were about $7 a pound. And what was it, Ralph's? I forget the name of the big supermarket out there.
Oh.
But I was like $7 a pound. I think they were like $1.99 in Philly back then.
Dude, that's a good measurement to how wrong things are in LA. It's almost 8 at Ralph's now.
Wow. Guess what? Not bad. Ralph's, you're not doing a bad thing. Maybe they'll give us some sort of a, promotion or sponsorship because of that.
Oh, no. Wait. This one, free range, is 14, and most people in LA are buying that, I bet. I'm just kidding. 14. Damn. I should know that. I actually just did pizza yesterday, and I did barbecue chicken pizza, and I can't remember how much it cost. I should have remembered. I'm very Italian out here. I got a brick oven, so we do just to brag for a second. We did this yesterday.
Wow, that looks really good.
I had a quite the pizza day yesterday. Yeah.
That is the Napoleon, and you're right there, brother.
Yeah, man. We went hard. This is the barbecue chicken one here. So little the only like American style one I did.
That looks really good, man. Wow.
Great. Yeah. If you're ever out in LA, man, I'll cook you up a nice pizza. You come by.
I'm due up, brother. I got a few people I need to see out there. And Paul, tell us some of the places we can find you.
Follow me for all my bits. I've been posting a lot of my podcast lately. So just at Paul Costabile everywhere. And then this new thing I started doing that has been really good for my writing is I'm actually doing a joke a day on TikTok. So I'll do a crowd clip or like an actual joke every day. I'm just trying to grow there and like get better as a stand-up. So I'd love for people to check that out because it's new and it's a lot of work, but I also I feel myself getting better at. I'll do topical stuff and stuff in the news. I'll do stuff for my family. It's some material from actual shows. I mean, they're from shows, and I just play around. And see how it sticks there. So check me out there, and then popupwithpaul.com is the podcast. And I will be doing the show in New York in November, and all my stand-up dates are at the link in my bio on social media too.
And we will also have them in the description box. So everybody out there, I know I say this often, but I mean it. Please check out Paul. He's doing some great things. I'm a big fan of yours, Paul. I really am, not just saying that. And I hope everyone follows him and support you as much as humanly possible because you're a talented guy and you're a good guy. And those two things are very important. So.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I appreciate you for saying that. It's amazing to meet you and be here. and your support means the world. And same to you. I hope you continue to grow, and anything I can do to help you. And when you popped up, it's like I said earlier, like I felt like I knew you, and I feel like you're similarly like cut from the same cloth, and we want to do cool things and with good people. And I sense you're doing the same type of thing. So you're the Philly version of me is what I'm saying.
It's an honor. And you could be the LA version of me, but I don't want to insult you, you know.
Well, my wife wished she married a Philly version of me, I bet. So, yeah.
Well, listen, Paul, you've been generous with your time, so I don't want to keep you longer than you have to be. You've been awesome. I can't thank you enough. It's been a great time having you. I can't wait to see you in November. And in the meantime, I'll make sure I follow you on your social media, watch all your stuff, and I am a fan. So thank you very much, Paul.
Got you. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, everybody.
All right, now, folks, remember, please make sure you're following and supporting Paul. I appreciate it. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, subscribe to his, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again.